Good evening, listeners. This is your emergency broadcast station for Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. You can call me your guide for tonight. As of 8 p.m., we are facing one of the most severe wildfire outbreaks in California's history. Please remain calm and stay tuned as we guide you through this crisis. First, let's address the facts. The wildfire, which started earlier today in the Angeles National Forest, has now spread rapidly due to high winds and extreme drought conditions. Firefighters are working tirelessly to establish containment lines, but the situation remains critical. Currently, the fire spans over 50,000 acres and is advancing toward populated areas at an alarming rate. For those just tuning in, mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for the following areas: Sylmar, Sunland, Tujunga, and parts of Glendale. If you are in these zones, you must leave immediately. Do not delay. Gather your essential belongings, medications, and emergency supplies, and evacuate to the designated shelters. Law enforcement officers and National Guard units are on site to assist with the evacuation process. Unsure about what to pack? Here's a quick checklist. Bring a 3-day supply of water, non-perishable food, a flashlight, batteries, and a fully charged phone or radio. Make sure to have face masks or cloth coverings to protect yourself from inhalation. Remember, if you can see the fire, you are too close to it. For those unable to evacuate due to mobility issues or other challenges, please contact the emergency hotline at 1-800-555-HELP. Operators are standing by to coordinate rescue efforts. If you cannot call, place a white sheet or towel outside your window to signal for assistance. Talk about air quality. The smoke from these fires is highly hazardous. The air quality index has reached a very unhealthy level across most of Los Angeles country. If you are not in an evacuation zone, but are experiencing heavy smoke, please stay indoors. Close all windows and doors, and use an air purifier if you have one. Avoid physical exertion and wear an N95 mask if you must go outside. Additionally, power outages have been reported in parts of the city, particularly in neighborhoods near the fire line. Utility companies are working to restore electricity, but rolling blackouts may continue throughout the night. Please serve energy where possible and use flashlights instead of candles to reduce fire risks. Receiving listener reports from the field. One caller from Sylmar described embers falling like rain onto their neighborhood. Another in Sunland mentioned the sky turning an eerie orange as ash blanketed their car. These accounts remind us of the severity of this disaster. If you have information to share, please call or text us. Your reports could help save lives. A message from one of our listeners. I'm in Glendale, and the fire is visible from my apartment. It's moving fast. The streets are packed with cars trying to leave. Please tell people to stay calm and drive safely. Thank you for your report. To everyone listening, remember, panic only slows you down. Stay focused, follow the evacuation routes, and keep your headlights on for visibility in the smoke. Now, for an update from the authorities. Governor Martinez has declared a state of emergency, mobilizing additional resources to combat the wildfire. The National Guard has been deployed to assist with evacuations and to protect critical infrastructure. Military helicopters are conducting water drops, and strike teams are working around the clock to prevent the fire from reaching residential areas. Federal Emergency Management Agency has also activated disaster response teams. Relief centers are being set up at the following locations: Dodger Stadium, the Pasadena Convention Center, and the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. These centers will provide food, water, medical assistance, and temporary shelter for evacuees. Please make your way to these locations if you have nowhere else to go. Before we continue, let me share some critical safety tips. If you are driving through smoke, keep your headlights on low beam and drive slowly. Visibility can drop to 0 in heavy smoke conditions. If you find yourself trapped in your home, move to a room farthest from the fire, preferably one without windows. Wet towels or blankets can help seal gaps under doors to keep smoke out. For pet owners, remember to bring your animals with you during evacuations. Do not leave them behind. Shelters will accommodate pets, and volunteers are on site to assist with their care. If you've lost a pet during the chaos, check with local rescue organizations for updates. I want to remind everyone to stay tuned. The situation is evolving rapidly, and new updates will be coming in every few minutes. Keep your radios on, and if you're driving, make sure to follow the directions of law enforcement officers on the ground. Together, we'll get through this. This is your emergency broadcast station, signing off for now but staying with you through the night. Stay safe, stay calm, and stay informed. It seems as if 95% of the radio listeners aren't tuned into the right frequency. You should quickly ensure that you are subscribed. To prepare for the apocalypse, let's begin with liking the video. This is your emergency broadcast station, bringing you the latest updates on the Los Angeles wildfire crisis. It's now 8:10 p.m., and we're here to guide you through this escalating emergency. If you've just tuned in, here's a brief recap of the situation. The wildfire that began in the Angeles National Forest earlier today has now grown to over 70,000 acres, fueled by strong winds and dangerously dry conditions. Mandatory evacuation orders remain in effect for Sylmar, Sunland, Tucson, and parts of Glendale. Voluntary evacuation orders have been issued for Burbank and Pasadena. If you are in these areas, we urge you to leave now while it's still safe to do so. Receiving reports that evacuation routes are becoming increasingly congested. Highways 5 and 210 are experiencing significant delays as residents attempt to flee the affected areas. If you're evacuating, consider using less congested sides or alternative routes. Remember, do not block intersections or emergency lanes. These need to remain clear for first responders. For those unable to evacuate by car, public transportation is still operational in some areas. Metro buses and trains are providing free rides to evacuation centers. Look for marked vehicles or contact your local transit authority for pickup locations. Let's talk about shelters. Relief centers have been set up at Dodger Stadium, the Pasadena Convention Center, and the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. These centers are equipped to provide food, water, medical care, and temporary housing for evacuees. If you're heading to a shelter, please bring identification and any essential items you can carry. Pets are welcome at all shelters, and volunteers are on site to assist with their care. We've also received word that additional shelters are being established in Long Beach and Pomona to accommodate the growing number of evacuees. Stay tuned for updates on their exact locations. Now, let's turn to the wildfire itself. Firefighters are working tirelessly to establish containment lines, but the fire's rapid spread and unpredictable behavior are making their efforts incredibly challenging. High winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour, carrying embers over long distances, sparking new fires in previously unaffected areas. This phenomenon, known as spotting, is one of the primary reasons this wildfire is so difficult to control. To give you an idea of the scale of this disaster, over 1,500 firefighters are currently on the ground, supported by aerial water drops from helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft. Despite their heroic efforts, the fire remains only 10% contained. The situation is critical, and we must all do our part to stay safe and support the emergency response teams. In receiving more listener reports from the field, here's one from a resident in Burbank. The smoke is so thick that I can barely see the street lights. My neighbors are packing their cars, and everyone looks terrified. Please tell people to stay calm. Thank you for your report. To everyone listening, remember, panic only makes things worse. Stay focused and follow evacuation orders. Here's another message, this one from Pasadena. I saw a family stranded on the side of the road with their car broken down. People need to stop and help each other. We're all in this together. Thank you for your compassion. If you see someone in need, want you to assist, but always prioritize your own safety. Take a moment to discuss health and safety. Smoke inhalation is one of the biggest risks during a wildfire. If you're outdoors, wear an N95 mask to filter out harmful particles. If you don't have a mask, use a damp cloth or bandana to cover your nose and mouth. Stay hydrated, as smoke exposure can cause dehydration. For those indoors, keep your windows and doors closed. Use air purifiers if you have them, and avoid using fans that bring in air from outside. If you experience symptoms like difficulty breathing, dizziness, or chest pain, seek medical attention immediately. In terms of government response, the National Guard has been deployed to assist with evacuations and to protect critical infrastructure. Military helicopters are conducting water drops, and strike teams are working to prevent the fire from reaching major urban centers. Governor Martinez has requested additional federal aid, and FEMA has activated disaster response teams to coordinate relief efforts. We've also received reports of looting in some evacuated areas. Law enforcement agencies are increasing patrols to deter criminal activity and protect abandoned homes and businesses. If you witness suspicious activity, report it immediately to the authorities. The situation is evolving rapidly, and new updates will be coming in every few minutes. Keep your radios on, and if you're driving, follow the directions of law enforcement officers on the ground. Together, we'll get through this. This is your emergency broadcast station, continuing live coverage of the Los Angeles wildfire crisis. It's now 8:20 p.m., and conditions are rapidly evolving. If you're just joining us, here's the current situation. The wildfire has now consumed over 90,000 acres, with containment efforts remaining at just 10%. The fire continues to spread westward, threatening additional neighborhoods in the San Fernando Valley. Mandatory evacuation orders are in Woodland Hills, Calabasas, and parts of Malibu. Residents in these areas must leave immediately. Evacuation routes remain heavily congested, with Highway 101 experiencing gridlock conditions. If you're evacuating, avoid major highways if possible, and stick to side streets or less traveled roads. Remember to follow the directions of law enforcement stationed at key intersections. We've received reports of abandoned vehicles on the 101 near Topanga Canyon Boulevard. If your car breaks down or runs out of fuel, pull to the side of the road and leave your hazard lights on. Emergency crews are working to clear these vehicles, but delays are inevitable. Seeking shelter, additional evacuation centers have been set up at the Ventura County Fairgrounds and the Aguera Hills Recreation Center. These locations are equipped with basic necessities, including food, water, and medical care. Remember to identification, medications, and any essential items you can carry. Pets are welcome at all shelters, and volunteers are on site to assist with their care. We've also received word that shelters in Long Beach and Pomona are nearing capacity. If you're heading to one of these locations, consider calling ahead to confirm availability or check online resources for real-time updates. Wildfire's rapid spread is being driven by a combination of high winds, low humidity, and an abundance of dry vegetation. Spot fires continue to ignite ahead of the main fire front, complicating containment efforts. Firefighters are focusing their efforts on protecting homes and critical infrastructure, but the scale of this disaster is overwhelming. Give you an idea of the challenges they're facing. Some areas are reporting flame heights of over 50 feet. These extreme conditions make it nearly impossible for ground crews to approach the fire safely. Aerial water drops are ongoing, but strong winds are dispersing the water before it can reach the flames. Received more listener reports from the field. Here's one from a resident in Calabasas. The sky is orange and ash is falling like snow. It's hard to breathe even indoors. People need to take this seriously and leave while they still can. Thank you for your report. To everyone listening, remember, your safety is the top priority. If you're in an evacuation zone, don't wait. Leave now. Here's another message, this one from Woodland Hills. My neighbors are refusing to leave. They think the fire won't reach us. Please tell people to listen to the authorities. Thank you for sharing. To anyone considering staying behind, understand that you may not have time to escape if the fire changes direction. Don't take unnecessary risks. Let's take a moment to review some critical health and safety tips. Smoke inhalation is a major concern during wildfires. If you're outdoors, wear an N95 mask to filter out harmful particles. If you don't have a mask, use a damp cloth or bandana to cover your nose and mouth. For those indoors, keep your windows and doors closed. Use air purifiers if you have them, and avoid using fans that draw in air from outside. If you experience symptoms like difficulty breathing, dizziness, or chest pain, seek medical attention immediately. If you're driving through smoky areas, keep your windows up and your air conditioning set to recirculate. This will help minimize your exposure to harmful particles. In terms of government response, additional National Guard units have been deployed to assist with evacuations and to protect critical infrastructure. Military helicopters are conducting water drops, and strike teams are working to prevent the fire reaching densely populated areas. Governor Martinez has declared a state of emergency, and federal aid is being mobilized to support relief efforts. We've also received reports of looting in some evacuated areas. Law enforcement agencies are increasing patrols to deter criminal activity and protect abandoned homes and businesses. If you witness suspicious activity, report it immediately to the authorities. This is your emergency broadcast station. Signing off for now, but staying with you through the night. We are receiving news from another broadcast station that a rumored zombie apocalypse might have started. You can listen to it by clicking on the top right corner. Good evening, this is your emergency broadcast station, continuing live updates on the Los Angeles wildfire crisis. The time is now 8:30 p.m., and we are here to provide you with the latest information to help you stay safe and informed. Wildfire continues to spread at an alarming rate, now consuming over 100,000 acres. Containment remains at 10%, with fire crews focusing their efforts on protecting lives and critical infrastructure. The fire's westward expansion has forced new mandatory evacuation orders for Thousand Oaks and Agora Hills. Residents in these areas must evacuate immediately. Routes remain heavily congested, with reports of gridlock on the 101 freeway stretching from Woodland Hills to Ventura. If you're evacuating, consider using less congested routes such as Mulholland Drive or Canaan Road. Be aware that conditions can change rapidly, and some roads may be closed without notice due to fire activity. To those already on the road, please remain patient and follow the instructions of emergency personnel. Remember to keep your vehicle's headlights on, even during the day, as smoke can significantly reduce visibility. Those seeking shelter, additional evacuation centers have been established at the Simi Valley Civic Center and the Camarillo Community Center. Both locations are equipped with food, water, and basic medical care. Pet accommodations are also available, and volunteer on site to assist with their care. Shelters in Ventura and Long Beach are now at full capacity. If you're heading to an evacuation center, consider checking online resources or calling ahead to confirm availability. Remember to bring essential items, including identification medications, any supplies you may need for children or pets. The wildfire continues to present extreme challenges for firefighters. High winds and low humidity are fueling the flames, with gusts reaching up to 40 miles per hour in some areas. Spot fires are igniting ahead of the main fire front, making it difficult to predict its path. In addition to these challenges, power outages are affecting large portions of the San Fernando Valley and surrounding areas. Over 50,000 residents are currently without electricity, and utility crews are working to restore service where it is safe to do so. If you're experiencing an outage, use battery-powered devices to stay informed and avoid using candles, as they can pose a fire hazard. We've received more listener reports from the field. Here's one from a resident in Agora Hills. The fire is moving so fast. 1 minute it was miles away, and now it's right at our doorstep. We barely had time to grab anything before evacuating. Thank you for sharing your experience. To everyone listening, this highlights the importance of evacuating as soon as possible when orders are issued. Here's another message from Thousand Oaks. The sky is pitch black, and ash is falling like rain. It's hard to breathe, even with a mask. Please tell people to take this seriously. Thank you for your report. Remember, your safety is our top priority. If you're in an affected area, don't wait. Leave now. Let's review some critical health and safety tips for those in or near the affected areas. First and foremost, avoid outdoor activity whenever possible. Smoke inhalation can have serious health effects, especially for children, the elderly, and those with respiratory conditions. If you're indoors, keep windows and doors closed and use air purifiers if you have them. Avoid using fans that draw in air from outside. If you experience symptoms such as difficulty breathing, dizziness, or chest pain, seek medical attention immediately. If you're driving through smoky areas, keep your windows up and set your air conditioning to recirculate. This will help minimize your exposure to harmful particles. In terms of government response, additional National Guard units have been deployed to assist with evacuations and protect critical infrastructure. Military helicopters are conducting water drops, and strike teams are working to prevent the fire from reaching densely populated areas. Governor Martinez has authorized the use of emergency funds to support firefighting efforts and provide relief for affected residents. Federal aid is also being mobilized, with FEMA teams arriving in the area to assist with disaster response and recovery. Law enforcement agencies are increasing patrols in evacuated areas to deter looting and protect abandoned homes and businesses. If you witness suspicious activity, report it immediately to the authorities. The situation is evolving rapidly, and new information is coming in every few minutes. Keep your radios on, and if you're on the road, drive carefully and follow the directions of emergency personnel. This is your emergency broadcast station, bringing you live updates on the Los Angeles wildfire crisis. The time is now 8:40 p.m. The wildfire continues to grow in intensity, and we urge everyone in affected areas to remain vigilant and follow evacuation orders immediately. Just received new information from the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. The wildfire has now spread to 120,000 acres, with containment efforts still holding at 10%. Crews are working tirelessly, but the combination of strong winds, dry conditions, is making progress slow and dangerous. Evacuation orders have now been extended to include the communities of Calabasas, Westlake Village, and Hidden Hills. Residents in these areas must leave immediately. If you are hearing this and are in an evacuation zone, do not delay. Gather your essential belongings, including medications, identification, and emergency supplies, and leave now. For those evacuating, remember to close all windows and doors before leaving your home to reduce the risk of embers igniting your property. If you have flammable materials outside, such as patio furniture or firewood, move them away from your house if it's safe to do so. Traffic remains a significant issue on major evacuation routes. The 101 freeway is heavily congested, with delays reported from Sherman Oaks to Ventura. The Pacific Coast Highway is also experiencing heavy traffic as residents from Malibu and nearby areas evacuate. If you're on the road, please remain patient and follow the instructions of traffic control officers. As a reminder, avoid using your hazard lights while driving unless you are stopped. Keeping them on while moving can confuse other drivers and create additional hazards. The wildfire is not only a direct threat due to flames, but also poses significant health risks from smoke and poor air quality. The air quality index in Los Angeles and surrounding areas has reached hazardous levels, particularly in the San Fernando Val and Santa Monica Mountains. To minimize exposure, stay indoors with windows and doors closed. Use an air purifier if you have one, and avoid using fans that draw in air from outside. If you must go outside, wear an N95 mask or equivalent to protect yourself from harmful particles. We've received several listener reports describing the current conditions on the ground. Here's one from a resident in Calabasas. It's hard to believe how fast this fire is moving. Please tell people to leave now. It's not worth the risk. Here's another from Westlake Village. We've been stuck in traffic for over an hour. The smoke is so thick we can barely see the car in front of us. We're scared, but we're trying to stay calm. Thank you for sharing your experiences. To everyone listening, remember that your safety is the priority. Follow evacuation orders and trust that help is on the way. For those in need of assistance, several resources are available. The American Red Cross has set up additional evacuation centers at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium and the Van Nuys Recreation Center. These shelters provide food, water, and medical care, as well as accommodations for pets. If you're unable to evacuate due to mobility issues or other challenges, call 911 immediately. Emergency responders are prioritizing those in the most dangerous areas and will assist you as soon as possible. Additionally, the Los Angeles County Fire Department has set up water distribution points at several locations, including Griffith Park and Sepulveda Basin. These stations are open to the public and will remain operational as long as conditions allow. The National Guard has deployed additional personnel to assist with firefighting efforts and evacuations. Military helicopters are conducting water drops over the most active fire zones, including areas near Topanga Canyon and Malibu. Governor Martinez has declared a state of emergency for Los Angeles County and surrounding regions. This declaration allows for additional federal resources to be allocated to the response effort. FEMA teams are on site, working to coordinate relief efforts and provide support to affected residents. Let's review some essential safety tips for those in or near the affected areas. First, if you're evacuating, make sure to pack an emergency kit with water, non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, and a first aid kit. Don't forget to include important documents, such as passports and insurance information. For sheltering in place, keep a close eye on local updates and be prepared to leave at a moment's notice. Keep your phone charged and have a backup power source if possible. If you're near the fire line, wear protective clothing, including long sleeve, pants, and sturdy shoes to shield yourself from heat and embers. Lastly, remember that wildfires can change direction and intensity without warning. Stay alert, stay informed, and don't take unnecessary risks. This is a challenging time for all of us, but by working together and following the guidance of emergency officials, we can get through this. This is your emergency broadcast station, signing off for now. Stay safe, Los Angeles. We'll be back shortly with more updates. Good evening. This is your emergency broadcast station, returning with the latest updates on the Los Angeles wildfire crisis. The time is now 8:50 p.m. The wildfire has intensified significantly in the past 10 minutes, with containment efforts facing due to unpredictable wind patterns and dry vegetation. Fire crews are currently focused on protecting life and property in the affected zones. We have just received confirmation that the fire has breached containment lines in the Topanga Canyon area, moving rapidly toward Pacific Palisades. Residents in areas must evacuate immediately. Do not wait for further instructions. Leave now. Mandatory evacuation orders have now been issued for the following areas: Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, and portions of Santa Monica north of Montana Avenue. If you are in these zones, pack your emergency kit and leave immediately. Time is critical. If you are unable to evacuate due to mobility issues or lack of transportation, call 911 or your local emergency hotline. Emergency responders are prioritizing these calls and will assist you as soon as possible. Traffic congestion remains a significant concern on all major evacuation routes. The 405 freeway is experiencing gridlock, with delays reported from the Getty Center to the Sepulveda Pass. The 10 freeway heading west is also heavily congested as residents Santa Monica and surrounding areas evacuate. Officials are urging drivers to remain calm and avoid blocking intersections. If you are stuck in traffic, keep your windows rolled up and your air conditioning set to recirculate to minimize exposure to smoke. The air quality index continues to worsen, with hazardous levels now reported across most of Los Angeles country. Smoke from the wildfire is spreading rapidly due to shifting winds, affecting areas far beyond the fire's immediate vicinity. Those in areas with poor air quality, it is crucial to stay indoors and seal any gaps around windows and doors. If you do not have an N95 mask or equivalent, avoid outdoor activities entirely. Prolonged exposure to this level of smoke can cause severe respiratory issues, particularly for children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions. We've received several listener reports describing the current situation on the ground. Here's one from a resident in Brentwood. The smoke is so thick it feels like night has fallen early. We're trying to evacuate, but traffic is barely moving. It's terrifying. Here's another from a firefighter in Topanga Canyon. The fire is moving faster than we've seen before. We're doing everything we can, but the winds are making it nearly impossible to control. To everyone listening, we thank you for sharing your experiences. Your reports help us provide accurate and timely information to others in need. For those seeking shelter, additional evacuation centers have been established at the Westwood Recreation Center and the Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex. These shelters are equipped with food, water, medical supplies, and accommodations for pets. If you are in need of transportation assistance, several ride-sharing companies have announced they are offering free rides to evacuation centers in the affected areas. Contact your local hotline for details on how to access this service. Additionally, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power has set up water distribution points at Griffith Park and the Venice Boardwalk. These locations will remain operational as long as conditions permit. The National Guard has deployed additional personnel to assist with evacuation efforts and wildfire containment. Military helicopters are conducting water drops over critical areas, including Pacific Palisades and the Santa Monica Mountains. Governor Martinez has issued an executive order to expedite the deployment of federal resources, including additional firefighting crews and equipment. FEM teams are on the ground, working to coordinate relief efforts and provide support to affected residents. Let's take a moment to review essential wildfire safety tips. If you are evacuating, remember to pack your emergency kit with water, non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, and a first aid kit. Don't forget to include important documents, such as identification and insurance information. For sheltering in place, keep a close eye on local updates and be prepared to leave at a moment's notice. Ensure your phone is fully charged and have a backup power source if possible. If you are near the fire line, wear protective clothing, including long-sleeve pants and sturdy shoes, to shield yourself from heat and embers. Lastly, remember that wildfires can change direction and intensity without warning. Stay alert, stay informed, and prioritize your safety above all else. This is your emergency broadcast station signing off for now. Stay safe, Los Angeles. We'll be back shortly with more updates. This is your emergency broadcast station, returning with critical updates on the Los Angeles wildfire crisis. The time is now 9 p.m. Over the past 10 minutes, the situation has grown increasingly dire as the wildfire continues to expand at alarm rate. We urge all listeners to stay tuned for the latest developments. The wildfire has now consumed over 250,000 acres, with containment efforts struggling against high winds and dry conditions. The most active fire fronts are currently in the Pacific Palisades and Brentwood areas. Emergency crews are working tirelessly, but resources are stretched thin. Firefighters are urging residents to adhere to evacuation orders immediately. The fire's unpredictable behavior has resulted in several areas being overtaken faster than anticipated. If you are in an evacuation zone, do not delay. Leave now. Containment lines near Mulholland Drive are holding for now, but officials warn that shifting winds could compromise this area within the hour. Residents in nearby neighborhoods should remain on high alert. Mandatory evacuation orders remain in effect for the following areas: Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, Santa Monica north of Montana Avenue, and now portions of Westwood. If you are in these zones, pack your belongings and leave immediately. Do not wait for further instructions. Traffic conditions on major evacuation routes remain challenging. The 405 freeway is at a standstill in several areas, and the 10 freeway heading west is heavily congested. Officials are working to clear bottlenecks and keep traffic flowing, but delays are inevitable. Please remain patient and follow the directions of traffic control personnel. For those unable to evacuate, temporary shelters are available at the Westwood Recreation Center, the Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex, and the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. These shelters are equipped with basic necessities, including food, water, and medical supplies. We've received several listener reports detailing the challenges residents are facing on the ground. Here's one from a listener in Brentwood. We tried to leave an hour ago, but the streets are completely jammed. The smoke is so thick it's hard to breathe, even inside the car. We're scared. Here's another report from a resident in Santa Monica. The fire seems closer than the updates suggest. We're packing up now, but it feels like we're running out of time. We hear you, and we understand your fears. Please know that emergency crews are doing everything possible to assist those in need. As the wildfire continues to spread, air quality remains a significant concern. The Air Quality Index AQI is now at hazardous levels across most of Los Angeles County. Prolonged exposure to this level of smoke can cause severe respiratory issues. If you are outdoors, wear an N95 mask or equivalent to minimize smoke inhalation. If you do not have a mask, cover your nose and mouth with a damp cloth. Indoors, keep windows and doors closed and use an air purifier if available. Avoid using fans that in outside air. Remember, symptoms of smoke exposure include coughing, shortness of breath, and irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat. If you experience severe symptoms, seek medical attention immediately. The National Guard continues to assist with evacuation efforts and wildfire containment. Military helicopters are conducting water drops over high-risk areas, including the Santa Monica Mountains and Brentwood. Ground units are also helping to secure aviation routes and provide logistical support. MA teams are on site at several evacuation centers, coordinating relief efforts and distributing supplies. Governor Martinez also requested additional federal resources, including firefighting crews from neighboring states. These reinforcements are expected to arrive within the next few hours. For those in need of assistance, several resources are available. Ride-sharing companies are offering free rides to evacuation centers for those without transportation. Contact your local hotline for more information. Water distribution points remain operational at Griffith Park and the Venice Boardwalk. These locations are providing clean drinking water to those affected by the crisis. Please bring your own containers if possible. Pet-friendly shelters are also available at the Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex and the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. If you are evacuating with pets, ensure they are securely leashed or crated. Let's take a moment to review essential wildfire safety tips. If you are evacuating, pack your emergency kit with water, non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, and a first aid kit. Don't forget to include important documents, such as identification, insurance information. If you are sheltering in place, stay informed and be prepared to leave at a moment's notice. Keep your phone fully charged and have a backup power source if possible. If you are near the fire line, wear protective clothing to shield yourself from heat embers. Lastly, remember that wildfires are unpredictable. Stay alert, stay informed, and prioritize your safety above all else. This is your emergency broadcast station, signing off for now. Stay safe, Los Angeles. We'll return shortly with more updates. This is your emergency broadcast station. The time is now 9:10 p.m. We return with critical updates on the Los Angeles wildfire situation. Please remain tuned for the latest information. As of the latest reports, the wildfire has now expanded to over 300,000 acres with zero containment. The fire is continuing to spread across the northern edge of Santa Monica, now dangerously close to the Pacific Coast Highway. Authorities are urging all residents affected areas to evacuate immediately. Firefighters continue to battle the flames with limited resources. Aerial firefighting efforts have been hindered by high winds, making it difficult to drop fire retardants and water in critical areas. The situation remains fluid and highly volatile. Evacuation orders have been expanded to include the following areas: Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, and now portions of West LA, including Beverly Hills and Century City. If you are in any of these zones, please evacuate immediately. Time is running out. Evacuation routes remain congested, with significant traffic jams reported along the 405 freeway and Sunset Boulevard. Emergency vehicles are working to clear these routes, but delays are expected. If you are stuck in traffic, stay in your vehicle and keep the windows closed to avoid smoke inhalation. Those unable to evacuate by car, please head to the nearest evacuation center. Shelters are available at the following locations: the Westwood Recreation Center, Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex, and the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. These shelters are equipped with food, water, and medical supplies. The air quality across Los Angeles country continues to deteriorate rapidly. The Air Quality Index in AQI has reached hazardous levels in many areas. This level of pollution poses significant risks to your health, particularly if you have respiratory conditions or are elderly. Or outside, wear an N95 mask or any available cloth to cover your nose and mouth. If you have trouble breathing, seek shelter indoors immediately and keep all windows and doors closed. If you experience severe symptoms, such as difficulty breathlessness or chest pain, seek medical attention immediately. We've received several more reports from listeners in affected areas. Here's one from a resident in Brentwood. We've been sitting in traffic for over an hour. The smoke is so thick, we can barely see the car in front of us. The fire is close. Too close. They're scared we won't make it out. Here's another report from a listener in Pacific Palisades. We're trying to leave, but the flames are so close, we can see them from our windows. The fire is spreading so fast, it feels like there's no safe way out. We understand your fears. Emergency crews are doing everything they can to assist, but the situation is dire. Please stay calm, follow the evacuation orders, and prioritize your safety above all else. Military and emergency response teams are continuing their efforts to contain the wildfire and assist with evacuations. The National Guard has deployed additional units to help manage evacuation routes and ensure that supplies are distributed efficiently. Shelters. Aerial water drops have been intensified, but the high winds continue to complicate efforts. Firefighters on the ground are facing extreme conditions, and many are working without sufficient rest. Please keep them in your thoughts as they continue to battle this unprecedented disaster. At this time, FEMA is coordinating the response with local authorities to ensure that critical infrastructure is protected. However, there are reports of power outages across large portions of the city. If you are experiencing a power outage, use flashlights and conserve battery power. We want to remind everyone of the evacuation centers available to those who need shelter. The Westwood Recreation Center, Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex, and Santa Monica Civic Auditorium are open and fully stocked with supplies. If you are evacuating with pets, please head to the Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex, where pet-friendly accommodations are available. Please ensure that your pets are safely contained and that they have water and food. If you are unable to reach an evacuation center, please find a safe place away from the fire and stay inside. Avoid using elevators and stay on lower floors in buildings if possible. Those still in evacuation zones, please make sure you have your emergency kits ready. These kits should include at least 3 days worth of food and water, a first aid kit, flashlights, extra batteries, a battery, powered radio, and any importantification, insurance papers, and medical records. If you are sheltering in place, keep your emergency kit within reach and be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice. If you are in an area close to the fire line, wear long sleeves and pants and cover your face with a cloth to protect yourself from heat and smoke. As we conclude this segment, I want to remind everyone to remain calm and stay informed. The situation is evolving rapidly, but by following the guidance of emergency officials and staying vigilant, we can get through this together. This is your emergency broadcast station signing off for now. Stay safe, Los Angeles. We'll return shortly with more updates. This is your emergency broadcast station. The time is now 9:20 p.m. We return with the latest updates on the ongoing wildfire situation in Los Angeles. Please stay tuned for critical information that may affect your safety. Wildfire continues to spread at an alarming rate. It is now estimated that the fire has consumed over 500,000 acres of land with zero containment reported. The situation is deteriorating rapidly, and emergency services are struggling to events for evacuation and rescue. The fire has now crossed over the Pacific Coast Highway and is advancing towards Malibu. Authorities are advising all residents in Malibu and surrounding areas to evacuate immediately. If you are still in these areas, please do not wait for further instructions. Leave now. Evacuation orders have been expanded to include Malibu, Topanga Canyon, and portions of Agoura Hills. If you are in these areas, you must evacuate immediately. The fire is rapidly approaching and may overtake these areas within the next few hours. Shelters are open and available for those who need them. The Westwood Recreation Center, Culver City Veterans Memorial Complex, and Santa Monica Civic Auditorium are currently accepting evacuees. These shelters are stocked with food, water, and medical supplies. Please proceed to the nearest shelter if you are unable to evacuate to a safer location. For those in the Malibu area, the nearest shelter is located at the Malibu Civic Center. If you are unable to reach a shelter, please find a safe location away from the fire and stay indoors until further instructions are given. Air quality continues to worsen across the city. The AQI is now in the hazardous range, particularly in the western and northern parts of Los Angeles. If you are outside, please wear an N95 mask or any cloth to cover your nose and mouth. The smoke is thick, and prolonged exposure is harmful to your health. If you experience difficulty breathing, dizziness, or chest pain, seek medical attention immediately. For those with respiratory conditions or the elderly, please take extra precautions. Do not attempt to leave unless absolutely necessary. We've received more reports from listeners in the affected areas. Here's one from a resident in Topanga Canyon. The fire is so close, we can feel the heat from our house. We're trying to leave, but the roads are blocked. We're stuck, and it's getting harder to breathe. Another report from a listener in Agoura Hills. We've been driving for over an hour, and we haven't moved more than a mile. The smoke is so thick, we can't see the car in front of us. It feels like we're trapped. We hear you, and we understand the fear and uncertainty you are facing. Emergency crews are working tirelessly to clear evacuation routes. But with limited resources, progress is slow. If you are stuck in traffic, remain in your vehicle, keep the windows closed, and try to conserve your air supply. National Guard has been deployed to assist with evacuation efforts and to ensure that resources are distributed to shelters. Military personnel are actively working to clear blocked roads and provide assistance to those in need. However, delays are due to the sheer volume of evacuees and the challenging conditions. Aerial firefighting efforts are being intensified, but the winds remain unpredictable, making it difficult for planes to make consistent water drops. Firefighters on the ground are continuing to battle the flames, but their resources are stretched thin. If you are still in an evacuation zone, it is critical that you leave immediately. Please make sure you have your emergency kits ready, including food, water, medications, and any important documents. If you have pets, bring them with you and ensure they are safely contained. If you are sheltering in place, stay indoors and keep all windows and doors closed. Use a damp cloth to cover your face and protect yourself from smoke inhalation. If you are in a building with multiple floors, stay on the lower levels and avoid using elevators. The situation is dire, but by following the guidance of emergency officials and working together, we can navigate through this crisis. This is your emergency broadcast station, signing off for now. We'll return shortly with more updates. Stay safe, Los Angeles. This is your emergency broadcast station. The time is now 9:30 p.m. Please stay tuned for more critical updates regarding the ongoing wildfire in Los Angeles. We urge you to remain alert and follow the instructions of local authorities. Fire continues to spread uncontrollably. New evacuation zones have been issued in response to the fire's rapid advance. The fire has now crossed the 405 freeway and is moving towards the southern areas of the city. Residents in the neighborhoods of Culver City, Westchester, and Inglewood are now under mandatory evacuation orders. If you are in these areas, please leave immediately. The fire is advancing at a rate that is faster than anticipated. Authorities are working to clear evacuation routes, but traffic remains a significant issue. If you are unable to leave, shelter in place. Follow the instructions from emergency personnel. Shelters are at capacity in some areas, but there are still open spaces at the following locations: the Los Angeles Convention Center, the Hollywood Palladium, and the Downtown LA Arts District Shelter. Please make your way to the nearest shelter if you are in need of refuge. For those in the affected evacuation zones, please ensure that you bring essential items with you, including food, water, medications, and personal identification. We advise against bringing large items, as space is limited in the shelters. As the fire continues to rage, air quality has worsened dramatically. The AQI is now in the hazardous range for most of Los Angeles, with particulate matter and smoke levels increasing. Those in the affected areas should avoid outdoor activity as much as possible. If you must go outside, please wear a mask, preferably an N95, and cover your mouth and nose with a damp cloth if a mask is not available. Keep windows and doors closed, and ensure your air conditioning system is set to recirculate the air if you are sheltering in place. We have received more distressing reports from the ground. A listener from Culver City writes, "We've been stuck in traffic for over 2 hours. The smoke is unbearable, and we can see the flames coming closer. We don't know what to do." Another listener from Inglewood reports, "We're trapped in our apartment. The fire is so close we can hear it outside. We've closed all the windows and doors, but the smoke is seeping in. It's hard to breathe. We don't know if we should leave or stay." To all listeners in similar situations, please remain calm. If you are in a high-rise building or apartment complex, stay low to the ground, where the air is cleaner. If you are in a car, keep the windows rolled up and turn on the air conditioning to the recirculate setting. National Guard is continuing to assist with evacuation efforts, and additional military units are being deployed to help clear roads and provide assistance to those trapped by the fire. However, due to the rapidly changing conditions, the military is facing logistical challenges, reaching all areas in need of support. We are being told that a large number of personnel are being reassigned to assist with evacuations in the southern and western parts of the city, particularly around the South Bay and West LA areas. Please remain in your vehicles if you are stuck in traffic. If you are in immediate danger, emergency responders are working to reach you as quickly as possible. Firefighting efforts are being complicated by extreme winds, which have increased the intensity of the blaze. Aerial firefighting operations are ongoing, but the unpredictability of the wind is making it difficult to control the fire from the air. Ground crews are focusing on protecting critical infrastructure, including power plants and water reservoirs, but their efforts are limited by the spread of the fire. We urge all residents to remain indoors if possible, as the situation continues to escalate. Evacuating, please ensure that you follow the designated evacuation routes. Do not attempt to take shortcuts, as many roads have been blocked by debris or fallen trees. If you are in an area that is not under evacuation orders but can see or smoke, it is better to evacuate now rather than wait until the situation worsens. Please remember to check in with family members or loved ones. If you are separated, use text messages or social media to communicate, as phone lines may be overloaded. If you are unable to reach anyone, continue to try at regular intervals. Your safety is our top priority, and we will continue to provide updates as they come in. Stay safe, Los Angeles. This is your emergency broadcast station, signing off for now. We'll return shortly with more updates. Please remain alert and follow the instructions of emergency officials. This is your emergency broadcast station. The time is now 9:40 p.m. We are continuing to monitor the situation in Los Angeles as the wildfire continues to spread. Stay tuned for further updates and instructions. Evacuation zones have been issued, and we are seeing an increasing number of residents trying to flee the city. The fire is now advancing towards the western portions of Los Angeles, including Santa Monica, Venice, and Marina del Rey. If you are in these areas, you are now under mandatory evacuation orders. Leave immediately, as conditions are deteriorating rapidly. For those evacuating from these areas, please proceed to the nearest shelter. The Los Angeles Convention Center has just opened additional space for evacuees. The Hollywood Palladium, as well as the shelters in the Downtown Arts District, remain operational but nearing full capacity. Fire has now reached critical infrastructure, including power substations and water distribution facilities. Power outages are becoming widespread across central and southern Los Angeles. The fire is also threatening the city's water supply, which may result in additional restrictions on water usage in the coming hours. If you are still in the city, please conserve water and electricity as much as possible. Local authorities are urging residents to limit their water usage to essential needs only, as the situation is becoming dire. The air quality continues to worsen. The AQI has now reached levels that are hazardous to health, even for those without pre-existing conditions. If you are in the evacuation zones or near the fire, you should wear a mask, preferably an N95, and avoid outdoor activity. If you are sheltering indoors, ensure that all windows and doors are sealed tightly. Keep your air conditioning set to recirculate the air and avoid opening windows. If you do not have access to air conditioning, use fans to circulate air within your home, but keep all external windows closed. We've received more distressing reports from listeners who are trapped or unable to evacuate. One listener from Venice writes, "We are stuck on the 10 freeway. The fire is getting closer and we can't move. People are abandoning their cars, but we're not sure where to go." Another listener from the Westwood area says, We are trapped in our apartment building. The smoke is so thick we can barely see. We've sealed the doors and windows, but it's hard to breathe. What should we do? To all those trapped in their vehicles or buildings, please remain calm. If you are in a vehicle, stay inside and keep your windows up. If you are in a building, stay low to the ground, where the air is cleaner. If possible, move to a part of the building that is furthest from the fire. The National Guard and emergency response teams are making progress in reaching those trapped by the fire. However, the extreme conditions are making it difficult to get to everyone. Emergency responders are focusing on the most critical areas first, but will take time to reach all locations. Please listen closely to emergency alerts and follow the instructions from local authorities. If you are able to evacuate safely, do so as soon as possible. If you are unable to leave, shelter in place, and continue to monitor this station for updates. Firefighting efforts are intensifying, but the combination of strong winds and high temperatures is making it incredibly difficult to gain control of the blaze. Aerial firefighting efforts are ongoing, but the fire is spreading too quickly for them to make a significant impact. Ground crews are working tirelessly to protect residential areas and critical infrastructure, but the fire continues to outpace their efforts. It is essential that all residents follow evacuation orders to allow emergency crews to focus on saving lives and protecting properties. Those in the affected areas, please follow the designated evacuation routes. Do not attempt to take shortcuts, as many roads are blocked by debris, fallen trees, and abandoned vehicles. If you are unsure of the nearest evacuation route, please listen to the emergency alert system for further instructions. If you are evacuating, remember to bring essential items with you, including medications, identification, and a flashlight. If you are evacuating with pets, make sure to bring food, water, and any necessary supplies for them as well. We want to remind you to stay calm and follow the instructions from emergency personnel. The situation is still developing, and we will continue to provide updates as they come in. This is your emergency broadcast station. The time is now 9:50 p.m. We are continuing to monitor the situation in Los Angeles as the wildfire continues to spread, and the situation is growing more critical by the minute. The fire has now reached the heart of downtown Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Fire Department is reporting that the fire is threatening the Staples Center, as well as the surrounding high-rise buildings. We are also receiving reports that the fire has breached the perimeter of the Los Angeles International Airport, forcing the closure of all runways and halting air traffic. If you are in the downtown area or anywhere near the airport, you must evacuate immediately. Emergency crews are still trying to protect key infrastructure, but the situation is becoming increasingly difficult. New evacuation routes have been established. If you are in the evacuation zones, head towards the nearest freeway and follow the signs to the designated evacuation shelters. The California Science Center, located at 700 Exposition Park Dart, is now open as an emergency shelter. We are also seeing an influx of evacuees heading toward the Santa Monica Pier. Shelters are being set up along the coastline, but they are filling up quickly. If you are near the coast, please proceed with caution. The fire is moving westward, and it is expected to reach the reach within the next 2 hours. The fire has now damaged the main water pipelines that supply the city. Water pressure is already being affected in some areas, and authorities are warning that water may be shut off in certain parts of Los Angeles in the coming hours. If you are in an area that has not yet been affected, please conserve water as much as possible. Power outages continue to spread throughout the city. Over half of Los Angeles is now without power, and the fire is threatening to knock out more substations. If you are in an area without power, please use flashlights or battery-powered lanterns. Avoid using candles, as they can increase the risk of fire. The air quality has reached hazardous levels across much of the city. If you are still in the evacuation zones, please wear a mask, preferably an N95, to protect yourself from the toxic smoke. Children, the elderly, and those with respiratory issues are particularly at risk. If you are sheltering indoors, ensure that all doors and windows are tightly sealed. Keep air conditioning on the recirculate setting to prevent the intake of outside air. If you do not have access to air conditioning, use fans to circulate air within your home, but keep all windows closed. We are receiving multiple reports from residents who are still trapped in their homes or vehicles. One listener from the Hollywood area reports, "We're stuck in traffic on the 101 freeway. The fire is getting closer, and we're running out of water." Another listener from the Silver Lake area writes, "We're trapped in our apartment. The smoke is so thick we can't see anything. We've sealed the doors, but the heat is unbearable. We're trying to stay low, but it's getting worse." To all those trapped in their vehicles or buildings, stay calm. If you are in a vehicle, keep the windows up and stay inside. If you are in a building, move to the lowest floor and stay as far from the fire as possible. Stay in touch with emergency service if you can. National Guard and emergency responders are still working to reach those trapped in the city. However, the fire's rapid spread and the extreme conditions are making it difficult to get to everyone. Emergency teams are focusing on the most critical areas first, but it may take several hours before they can reach all locations. If you are able to evacuate safely, do so immediately. If you are unable to leave, shelter in place and continue to monitor this station for further updates. Emergency responders are prioritizing rescue operations for those who are trapped, so please remain calm and follow their instructions. Firefighting efforts are ongoing, but the fire continues to outpace the resources available. Aerial drops of water and fire retardant are being made, but the fire is spreading too quickly for these efforts to be fully effective. Ground crews are working tirelessly to protect residential areas and critical infrastructure. However, the high winds and dry conditions are making it difficult to gain control of the fire. The situation remains extremely volatile, and residents are urged to evacuate immediately if they are in the affected areas. As we approach the end of this segment, we want to remind you to stay calm and follow the instructions from emergency personnel. This is your emergency broadcast station, signing off. Please stay safe, Los Angeles. Click on this card to listen to another Apocalypse Radio.